What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tino here, and we're here for a very special episode today. We got two episodes today, but this one, guys, we're starting it off with a big one because we've been talking about this one for a little bit of time. And a shout out to my guy OTM Kyle, and shout out to our guy Jordan for helping us set this up. It's our first timer here on the channel, guys, and it's our first time doing it. So let's not waste any more time, and let's introduce our guest, and let's get to it. As I told you guys earlier, we could have some time for questions. So if you guys got any questions in the chat, please let them and leave them below, and we could get to them. So, guys, for the first time here on the channel, and our first time having a professional wrestler on the channel, let's welcome Bobby Stevenson to the channel. What's up, Bobby? How you doing, man?
What up? Doing, bro? How you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. How are you? Let's start it off with just how you doing? How's everything been going? Catching up, and since last time we saw you on TV and everything, what you been up to?
Oh man, I've been up to a lot. Got a lot of things going. A lot of things cooking. A lot of things that are kind of like a waiting game, a little bit, which kind of sucks because I want to be able to share it with everyone, but gotta keep it low key for right now. But in the next few months, or no, not few months, no, a few weeks, I'll have some great stuff coming out and a lot of fun things for that people probably are waiting on to finally be able to see.
Man, I'm ready for it, and that's exciting. I mean, when you got some things going, and it's just like and it should be exciting, and I can't wait to hear exactly what that is because I've been a fan of you, and since you came in NXT, we were talking a little bit before we started recording. I've watched you since you came up and everything else like that, the new quarter catch crew. And everything that you did there, and it was kind of sad to see everything happen the way it did. But with everything that happened in NXT and everything else like that, what was your overall experience in NXT? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Like you were teamed up with Charlie Dempsey. People may not know that's William Regal's son. You had your boy Miles. What's his last name again?
Miles Bourne.
Miles Bourne. There we go. So. What was your overall experience, NXT experience like, and just overall, did you enjoy it?
It was great. It was real fun. Like no complaints about it. It was like a plus, like being able to come down to Florida and live in Florida. It's like I'm from Minnesota, so a lot of people don't know those summers suck. I mean, not the summers, the winters suck.
Oh man,
and
the Midwest sucks, doesn't it?
So then. Getting to come down here for a dream job, and then of course living in Florida, it's like a whole different lifestyle that you're exposed to, which is pretty awesome. It's all pretty cool. But as far as like my experience with NXT, it was great. It was real fun. No complaints about it. I got to meet tons of different athletes, a bunch of cool wrestlers. Got to roll around with like a bunch of cool wrestlers, and like the cool thing is that I always tell a lot of people. Like when you get the job at NXT, obviously you got to move to Florida because we film right up the street.
Yeah.
So like you get people from Japan, China, people all over the country. You meet new people. You get to see new cultures, new behaviors, new styles, just everything new. It's pretty cool to be able to see that in your backyard. So I was really thankful for that. But my time, it was fun. I got no complaints. I had a lot of fun matches. Got to do a few fun main event matches on Monday Night Raw. It was fun. It was great. You can't. I got to be in a video game, which like when I signed, like I had a few things I wanted to check off the list. One of those was being in a video game, and I was like, I did it, and that's gonna be like solidified forever. So like I was a little fanboy, and I went to the store for 2K23, and I bought the first game I was in. So like that's pretty something cool that I can like keep like forever. So like when I do have kids and they don't believe me, I'm like, boom,
here you go,
right here. Hopefully by that time I'll probably be at like the PS8,
Oh man, I can't keep up with these systems. I can't. I have an Xbox and my stepdad has a PlayStation 5 and everything, but I remember the good old days, man. Like you put the game in, you play it, and the 360, the PlayStations, and it's funny that you actually bring up that because that was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. And I was playing my GM yesterday, and I was watching a YouTuber on YouTube play. I think he was doing like a gauntlet match or something like that, and you showed up, and I'm like, that's so funny that like man, and that's so cool that you, as you said, like going to at your kids and being like, I'm in a video game. Like that lives on forever. Having like an action figure, like that's like, one of those things that is just so cool. The fact that you're in 2 of them because you're in 23 and you're still in this year's game because, and that's something that never take away from it. Are you a big gamer? Do you play like more video games than just like 2K?
So I play a lot of sports games. I'm a big Madden fan.
Hey, that's how I am too.
So like crazy thing about the PS5 situation. So I do like last month. So like no, as a matter of fact, we'll rewind a little bit. A year and a half ago, the lightning like hit my apartment and it cooked my PS5, right? So I had to like go through this whole thing of like sending my PS5 back to Sony, and I had to wait a month to get my gaming system back and whatnot. And then it was tough. And then so it happened again last month. My it got hit again. My TV got so this is what I went through. So I didn't get re-signed. A lightning hit my apartment, fried my TV, fried my $600 TV, fried my PS5. So that's 3 big things like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, bro, I need a break.
Yeah, right. Like, come on. Like, what the heck? They say things happen in threes, but that's
so,
just
a lot of other things happened before. So like happened during that time too. So like one of my boys, he said how you just said bad things happen in threes. I was having things happen in sixes. So I was getting cooked last month.
Man, I
was getting cooked last month. So I finally got my PlayStation back. So to answer your question, I'm a big gamer. So I'm a big MLB The Show guy. A little bit too big. I'm a big baseball fan. I love baseball. So it's probably not the best thing to brag about. So like last year on MLB The Show 23, I logged in like 600 hours.
That's
I was gaming. I was online. I had like 180 plus wins. I'm playing online. I was gaming.
Hell yeah!
So I just got the NCAA 25.
Oh, the college game.
Yeah, it's good. I like it a lot.
How do you feel? It's been 13 years since the other one came out. Or 11 years. It's crazy that it's been 30. Like I used to play that as a kid, man, and it just. How do you feel about the college game?
I think it's great. I think. I'm happy with the college because I wish like with like the NIL stuff, like kids getting paid to like in college. Like I wish I was getting paid, but they were getting paid now. But I'm happy like the college kids are like getting paid and like hopefully they're I haven't read that much into it. Hopefully they're getting like royalties off their jerseys. Like the Colorado team.
Yeah.
Hopefully those guys are getting paid. And then having them in a video game, like they all deserve that.
Exactly.
It's cool. And it's like to see the college kids like no longer having to be like hungry, going to bed or just like barely having to scrape through to survive, just like get a meal, and they're finally getting paid. I'm happy to see that. Like it's setting them up for success, especially when they graduate.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the biggest thing. People don't forget too with the one that they only had the numbers. So like the fact that you now get to see their names and everything is really cool. Where back in the day, like you really didn't know who these guys were. And now it's like, so helping everybody out. And as you said, making sure that everybody's got a good set of like stable because it's hard to become stable with everything so expensive in this world and everything. You can't, you can't go to McDonald's now without spending $15. I think I went and I got me and my cousin breakfast this weekend. And it was like $21. I'm like, it's 2 people. Like, what is going on? So
insane. So I'm happy they're getting paid, and it's setting them up because like a lot of people, well, I'm sure college athletes know, you're so invested in your sport, your Division I athlete. You're so invested. So like, obviously you got your school, and you got to graduate. So it's just like that's your main focus. So like once you like graduate, it's like it's done. Like for a lot of people. Unless you go to NFL, you make it somewhere or get in the WWE. So a lot of them, it's like done. So it's like now what? And then they might graduate with a lot of debt, but now they're getting paid, and they get to come out of school and they got money, so they have to have debt and stuff like that. So it's I think it's a great thing. I think the NIL thing is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool, and it's cool to see. Like I say it all the time. I love watching the rise of superstars, and like I've always watched NXT, and I always tell people to watch NXT because it's like seeing like the people that are like going like on the main roster now, like the Carmelos, the Lyras, the people like that are getting the chances, and seeing how far that they've come from their first debuted. It's just really cool, and it all starts with that NIL, and I love watching the rises of people. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's cool.
You mentioned that you're a big baseball fan and everything else like that, and I know who it is, but who is your favorite baseball team?
Oh, we got to talk about that.
I was gonna not to, but I mean, I figure we give it a couple minutes just on it because there's not too much to say about it. But
the Chicago White Sox.
Oh man, isn't it fun being a White Sox fan,
bro? It was fun. What was it? 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was only 3 years ago. 3 years ago, man, they were in the playoffs. Oh,
we have they had like 100 wins. They were like the top 5 like records in the league and whatever. And then they were in the playoffs, and I remember because like at that time when I first started, I was in Robbie Brookside's class. He's he teaches everyone like the basic fundamentals of like pro wrestling and just like really learning what pro wrestling is. Great person and an awesome coach. So I still talk to him to this day. Great guy. And then I remember, so we had to train at like 8:00 in the morning. The new class. And I remember we were always being in Florida, we're an hour ahead of everyone else. So game starts at 7 here, it's 6 over there. So like it really gets deep into the late hours. So I remember I had my phone as I'm trying to go to bed and get ready for training the next day. I just had my phone like sitting up on my nightstand, and I had the White Sox playing when they were playing the Astros. Before I go to training, I was like, I need to watch this. It seems like they're only good every like 10 years. So I was like, I gotta watch this, but it sucks they lost to the Astros. Still hate them.
Oh man, it's just it never ends and stuff like that. And I don't want to spend too much time on the White Sox because this year's been awful and they're on pace to be the worst team in MLB baseball since the Cleveland Spiders, and they didn't even play 162 games. So figured I want to ask you questions just real quick about, do you have any memories of 2005, the last time the White Sox were good? Because for me, I've said it on the podcast before, and it's so lame, but I always love to say it. I was writing raps about the White Sox. I was writing songs about Joe Creedy, about Paul Konerko, about Burley. Like I remember having papers. I wish my mom still had them of just these songs I would write because they were the last time they were good. So 2005. Do you remember the World Series?
I was in 3rd grade.
3rd grade. Okay.
Yeah, I was in 3rd grade. I was in 3rd grade, and my teacher at the time, she was a big White Sox fan too. So like, she had her posters hanging up in the classroom. And I remember at the end of the year, I wanted the posters, and she gave them to me, and it was Jermaine Dye and Paul Konerko.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so I had those for a while, but that was 3rd grade.
It's just so crazy how long ago that was, and it's who knows when the heck they're gonna be good again because it just
so hopefully. 50.
Well, that's what I keep saying. Me and my 2 buddies and friends do a podcast, and it's just we sit there every week and we're like, we don't know what to talk about anymore. And it's just like they're gonna do documentaries on this stuff in 10 years. Like they do documentaries now. We're going to be a laughing stock of baseball for a very long time. So, like I said, I just wanted to mention that because I was watching an interview and saw that you were a fellow White Sox fan. I was like, heck yeah. I'm like, we got to talk about this because it's nice to know I'm not the only one that still supports the team no matter what. Because people make comments like, why do you watch the games? I'm like, listen, I love the White Sox. They'll be my team. And when they win, it's going to be oh so sweet. If that will be when we're 50, 60.
We'll burn the city down.
Then literally, you have no idea. I want to go back a little bit and talk about you growing up in Minnesota. You mentioned that you were from Minnesota and everything else like that. So how was it being in Minnesota? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? You said you were a Vikings fan. Have you been to a bunch of Vikings games also? Do you what was just overall Minnesota? That's the one place I've never been out of the Midwest. I've been in Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, but tell us about Minnesota.
It's great. It's funny when you try to talk to people, you tell them where you're from. They're like, oh, it's cold. I'm like, yeah, it's cold. It's winter. Like, what do you think? And then, but the summers are real nice. So like I've started to be about since I moved to Minnesota, which was like 10 years ago. I became like a pretty big like country music fan, and then like big in the outdoors and hunting and stuff like that. So like I was like used to shoot guns and stuff like that and whatnot. But like when I moved to Minnesota, I actually got into hunting and more of the outdoorsy stuff and like the lake stuff. And because like I lived in Indiana, I used to live like an hour from Chicago.
Oh
So
wow,
like
okay.
in 2013, and when I was a sophomore in high school, I won the state title in Indiana, and I moved to Apple Valley, Minnesota, where I won another two high school state titles. So it
Heck
was like
yeah.
a whole different. It was like different, you know. So like when
Yeah.
I moved there in March. It's supposed to be springtime. So in
That
Indiana,
that's the big thing,
yeah. In Indiana, I moved there. I moved there in like March. So Indiana, it was like 75 degrees, and we got like we actually get springtime. So when I moved there, I was like, um, hold on a second. So when I moved there, and we were unpacking our stuff, and a snowstorm hit.
Ah,
Yeah, a snowstorm hit, and that was rough. I was like, it was like a horrible snowstorm, like the most snow they ever got in the spring in a long time. And I was like, oh, this is what Minnesota is. I was like, all right. And then it got into April, and there was still snow on the ground, like a mounds of snow from like the snowplows from the high school parking lot. And I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this. But no, Minnesota's great. It's great. The state fair, the nightlife, the baseball teams. I lived 12 minutes from like the Twin Stadium and the
oh
Viking
nice, okay.
Stadium, so I was
Have
right
you
there.
been to
And
like a Twins like Sox game or Twins anybody game?
yeah,
Okay.
so when the Sox were like somewhat good and they would come to town, I would buy the 3 game seat, like the 3 game tickets. Like when they
Yeah,
run 3 game series,
yeah.
I'd buy all of them and I'd go to every game.
Well,
Whenever they're in town, I watch them all. Now I like the Vikings too. The stadium's real nice. They got. I haven't been to the other stadiums, but like this is a real nice stadium. Indoors, nice and warm, not freezing. And like
that's the key,
yeah, it
man.
was great.
Uh,
Football games are
my
great.
my stepdad just offered me to go to the Bears Packers game in the end of the season, and I'm like, listen, like yes, like I it kind of going back and forth, but that cold, man. Like I love watching
Yeah.
football in my nice warm house and watch 4 games on the TVs, and like
Mm,
that's the thing. Like I think every team should have some type of retractable because
yeah.
indoor stadiums would just help, and then they don't have to worry about this and that. So, but
Yeah, I
I
don't want to be freezing my butt off.
no,
No.
it's just not enjoyable for me. Like I'm
Mm,
sitting there shaking, and like I've been to a few White Sox games in April, and like they've been really cold. And I went to one game that it snowed, it hailed,
mm,
it was sunny, and it rained,
mm.
and it just
Oh
like
no.
those aren't fun. Like I'm sitting there like this, and I'm just like I want to go on like a nice sunny day or indoors. So
Yeah.
definitely want to check out the Twins in the Minnesota. It's funny; those are one of the ones that I've like recently just been trying to go to, and like now being in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. I really want to go check out
Stadium's
the
real
Brewers
nice.
too.
Twin Stadium's real nice, and they got like a bunch of good restaurants around the area too.
That's
It's
always good because
yeah, real nice.
the restaurants always make things a little bit better and everything.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but just also because like obviously people want to talk and know about what like how you got into wrestling, how you started watching WWE and everything. What was like your
Mm.
favorite moment growing up? What was like the first moment you remember as like a kid, like wrestling and everything else like that? And
Like pro
who were
wrestling
some of
or amateur?
I mean, if you want to do
What do you mean?
both, I mean that's totally cool too. So, I mean,
So like growing up, I never like I knew who the superstars were, but I never made it a thing to religiously watch like every week. If it was on, I'd watch it for a little bit. But I was just so caught up in the real stuff, in the real wrestling. And then so yeah, I knew all the superstars were, but I never really, like I said, I never really watched it. Watched it, I didn't go to like Monday Night Raw until like I moved to Minnesota. And then so like my biggest amateur memory like growing up was when I gotta say when it was like in 2013 when I first moved to Minnesota, the Minnesota Gophers, which is where I wrestled at. They were number 1 in the country at the time. They were wrestling Penn State for like the national duels, and that place it was like I never seen nothing like it. So like I think that place was holding like 9,000 people, and it was packed. They call it the sports pavilion. It was packed all the way up to the top, and it was
oh wow,
insane. It was
that's
insane how loud it was in there, and they won 17-16, and they beat Penn State. And then that was probably like the best fun memory.
Man, I love that, and that I don't know, man. There's something about that where like there's like games where like I want to I don't know the close scores sometimes like I love when you can pull it out when it's like 17-16 or 50. What like winning by one is always just but then there are times where like especially in football like at this point I don't have no sympathy. I want the Bears just to win by 60. I'm like
Yeah.
just win. I'm like so
Yeah.
it's just that's the biggest thing and everything else like that. So you said you really didn't watch WWE too much growing up and everything else like that. When
No, I
was like
never. Huh?
no? When was like your first like memory of like when you like did like you just never really got into it like at all? You just always kind of check up on it and everything else like that with more or less just
Yeah, because I was always caught up in my own training, like wrestling. But we were amateur wrestling. We I did it at a high level, so it was mainly just focused on that. I didn't want to stay up late and on Monday nights or Friday
that's
nights, or like Friday night I had to wrestle on Saturday.
yeah,
And
that's true. Priorities, right? Got
yeah,
to make sure that we get
yeah. So like when I actually started to watch pro wrestling, obviously when I started to get a look from WWE, and that was when I think it was like 2019, like before COVID. We got invited to come backstage. I got to meet Paul Heyman and all the superstars and Triple H. He had us come backstage just to talk and just like watch the show. We sat front row, and then so after like they were starting to like get into me when I was doing with me, that's when I really started to watch because I was like I took it upon myself. I was like if I'm gonna be in the business, I gotta know what the business is. So
yeah.
I gotta know what's going on Monday nights. I gotta know what's going on Tuesday nights. And I gotta know what's going on the Friday nights. It's part of the job. That was just my thing. Like I got to know what's going on. And then so like when I signed, and I barely missed an episode of any of the three shows, and I made that a priority to watch it.
And that's the thing. People like, you gotta do your studying. You gotta know what's going on. And you gotta like that's the biggest thing because sometimes, people will know and tell if you don't know what you're talking about, where it just like,
Yeah.
and it just it's key because then you know what the guys are doing, especially if you
Mm-hmm.
go and face them, then you know their little tricks on like what they
Yeah.
might use as a defense and everything else
Yeah.
like that.
You
So
gotta know everyone's stuff.
yeah. And that just, I mean, that goes with anything too. If it's baseball, football, any sport, you just gotta, you gotta do your, even the podcast sometimes, like you gotta do the studying because you gotta know like what the guys are doing or what, like with fantasy
Yeah.
too. Like, do you play fantasy football?
No, I can't.
Too
I don't know. I
much.
never got into it. I think it's too much. Too much to get into.
No, I definitely feel you. My
Yeah.
cousin is in like 12 leagues. I'm like, bro, I have no idea how you're doing this. I'm like, I'm in
Yeah.
like 4, and I'm like, this is
Yeah.
already stressful. I'm like, I got, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And watching everything, and wrestling doesn't take an off season, unlike the
Mm-hmm.
other sports, like it's going all the time. Where every Monday, every Friday, every Tuesday, and now with like AEW and the other promotions, TNA is really hot right now with all the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's going on with NXT and all the crossovers and everything else
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that. So I want to ask you this: who is a dream opponent of yours? Is there somebody that maybe like past or present or future that maybe somebody's coming up that you would love to face in the future or that you would like to get in the ring with?
Well, I got to wrestle Shelton Benjamin,
Heck
and I
yeah,
thought that was
man.
great.
That's
And
awesome.
that was real fun. That was a pretty cool experience. But the person I wanted to wrestle, just because he was from Minnesota, also was Brock Lesnar.
Oh man, that
Just to
man.
wrestle him.
That's a two man. If it won't happen in real life, I'll make sure to do it in 2K, man. That's a man. That would be so cool. And
Yeah.
and that's the thing because it's like especially like watching you and like NXT and everything and seeing the momentum that you guys were getting with the new quarter catch crew and
Hmm.
everything else like that, and just it was something that I was hoping that was going to be able to go and like it would have worked. And even like watching the Creed brothers last night, people forget that you were with the Creed brothers and that you started off with them and everything else like that. And it was just,
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it just, like, I think it would have been really cool to see you be able to go up there with them and,
Mhm.
seeing what could have happened and everything like that. And it just, so would you want to go back to WWE if they offered? And as you said, like like talked to
Yeah.
all of them and everything. Like, was that something that you like? If Triple H called them out and be like, "Hey, would you want to come back? I got this plan for you." Would you? Would you
Yeah, I
do it?
do it. Like when it came to me not getting resigned, I'm not. I was kind of like I was really caught off guard because it wasn't like I was just sitting on the couch. I was in the middle of. We were in the middle of stuff, and like that. that Tuesday I was actually notified that we had something for TV. So when I got called Monday night about them not being re-signed, I was really caught off guard because like I knew the timeline when my contract was up and the way things are going. I'm like, granted, people he'll let go all the time. Like literally, there's been people that had title matches like a few days before and they got let go. So it's just like I guess it happens, but yeah, if they wanted me to come back, I'll come back. It's fun. It's fun, and I actually enjoyed it. I actually was like, you know, I loved it. It was a fun job, you know. So there's really no hard feelings towards them. I get it's a business, and they might have not resigned me for whatever reason. You know, like I felt like I left on good terms. I'm still on good terms with the coaches. There's the coaches there, so I'm not really sure what went on behind the closed doors, why I wasn't resigned. But it's really no hard feelings. You know, it's a business. It keeps moving. You know, a few months or a year, so people forget. You know, they forget everyone. So the WWE doesn't stop for anyone. It's a machine that just keeps going and going and going. It's been going for I don't even know how many years, but a long time. You know, and it's
Yeah.
not going to stop. So
No.
you know,
And it doesn't.
opportunity ever came back. So I pick up the phone on the first ring. He calls. Triple H called me. So
Let's go.
yeah.
Man, oh, that man, and I honestly, I really hope you do because I really just enjoyed everything that you were doing in NXT, and I really just was hoping to see it go a little bit further. And as you said, it's always good to like that the fact that you are on good terms, you can be able to go, and we've seen it happen before where people go, they go do their thing, they figure out, and then they come back. Or we've recently seen it with other superstars where they go to other companies. And like I personally like to say, even if you're on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, whatever show you're on, if you're on TV, that's it's cool to see, be able to watch like Adam Copeland on a Wednesday night and still be able to watch you know what I mean, because there's so much talent that sometimes not everybody gets to get used, where like we see people go and they're being used and then they don't go somewhere. And like with you, it like, to be honest, like it was kind of out of nowhere. Like I didn't even because I remember, like you said, you had some type of like thing, you had some type of like, you said that you were going to be able to go and like you had something planned, and it just
So I was supposed to be on the show on that Tuesday.
Like on that actual Tuesday that you got, so you got released on it was a Monday or a Monday?
Yeah,
okay.
It was a Monday, and I was supposed to be on that Tuesday. I was supposed to be on that Tuesday, and I thought it was a call just to renew the contract, just how things were going, So like I saw the number pop up, and I was like, oh, yay, we're getting another 3 years and some more money or whatever, And then they just mentioned not to resign, and I was caught off guard, but. I guess it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. One door closes, another one opens. Hopefully, I think I left on a great terms with everyone there. I don't talk bad about anyone. There's nothing to talk bad about. It's just
No.
I guess I just took it as it's business. So I'll never talk bad about the WWE or any of the bosses there. So it is what it is. Everyone has to do a job. Feelings will get hurt, but obviously my feelings were hurt. But like, you get fired from your lawn care job, you're going to be upset, but you can't
keep going.
you just got to keep going. You can't stop. Nothing. You can't stop about just because one door closes doesn't mean you can just pout about it. You just got to keep moving. Exactly. But I'm just thankful enough that like I created some waves while I was there, to like keep the ball rolling in my direction with other things, like I do want to continue wrestling and like doing like the indies and stuff like that. If there's opportunity there, I've had a lot of talks with a lot of companies about coming on the shows and stuff like that. And I just signed with a talent agency here in Florida, so that I got a talent agent that gets me bookings on TV shows, commercials, possibly movies. I've already done 2 reads for 2 movie roles. I'm just waiting to hear back from that. I'm currently hopefully going to be in. I got to do something else for another commercial for NCAA football. So there's great things coming, but it just sucks because like, you got to wait because but you got to send your audition in, you got to wait for them to hear back, you got to get picked for the audition, you got to go do it. It's a lot of positive things, but I know like my Instagram's been kind of quiet. I know people want to know like what's next, but I just want to know that things are cooking. on the stove. I also me and my one of my great friends, Ethan Carl. I known him since 2015. We got real close just because of wrestling, amateur wrestling. And so him and I, we got a country song. So a lot of people don't know, I do love country music. I've seen all the big
Love
stars.
it.
I get to grateful enough to be able to like meet them and connect with them just because they were wrestling fans and me being a pro wrestler. So I got to have like a lot of great conversations with a lot of big country stars. And I like a concert. I like performance. So him and me and my boy Ethan, we got a good song coming out. It's currently being mixed. I'm not going to drop the name yet because we got some good stuff, some fun marketing stuff coming up for that. So hopefully when that song does drop, um, it gets a good. I know it'll get a good reaction because we didn't um, half-ass anything. We went we went all in with this recording. So hopefully when it comes out, it gets a good reaction. That we just keep the ball rolling. That hopefully, like how I said, the wrestling door closes. Maybe the music door opens or the acting door opens and stuff like that. And also here in Florida, I'm looking to open my own wrestling club, amateur wrestling club here in Florida. So have that. It's all in the works. So have my own wrestling club, have my own. I'm working with a high school where I'll have a key to the room, and I want to open it to like obviously all the high school kids and middle school kids, football players, basketball players, whoever wants to come and learn how to wrestle. You know, and actually get some legit training from myself. And I'm having that open, and I'm also opening it up to like pro wrestlers too, because being in WWE, having an amateur wrestling background, you already know how to make your stuff look legit, and then being in pro wrestling, you gotta make it look legit without dropping someone on their head.
Yeah.
So,
And
like I'm
safety's,
gonna
you got to make sure safety's important. Make sure
yeah,
that
so you gotta make
everybody's
sure
safe.
everyone's safe, but like I'm gonna open it up to if pro wrestlers want one-on-one training to learn how to like legit grab someone and then they could take it over to the WWE or AEW or wherever they're wrestling, just to make it
Yeah.
give themselves that extra little um ugh, like fans like, oh man, that looked like it hurt, but they were trained by Bobby Steeps, so it doesn't hurt. So
I mean,
that's it's a lot of fun things coming. It's like I said, it's just a waiting game. So I haven't really posted about it. So I kind of dropped some little Easter eggs here. So we'll see what happens. It's all positive, but like I said, it's just waiting.
yeah.
It's going to be cooking in the next few weeks. So I'm excited for it. A lot of opportunity for myself and a lot of people in the area.
Hey, I love it. And as you said, everything happens for a reason, man. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where you got to go. I say day by day sometimes because it's just like you
Mm-hmm.
really never know what's going to happen. And as you say, you got a lot of things going, man. And that's awesome where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
we'll see what happens, but, focusing on that. And I can't wait to hear that song. Definitely send it to
Yeah.
me or all that stuff because I'll definitely share it out for you, help you out, and all that good stuff because,
Mm-hmm.
and I love country music too. So it's just,
Yeah. Who's your favorite? Who's your
I,
favorite artist, country
I
artist?
see, I have like a few, and it's just one of those things I like more of the song where it's like the Mean to Me, the Brent Eldredge, the guys like that, where it's just like I have like different like I have like where like I get into like a mood for a song, and then like I listen to it just constantly, and it's like
You wear it
it's
out.
just,
You wear it out pretty quick.
yeah, so it's just
Yeah.
like I listen to it, I've listened to it, and then I go to the next song, and it's just like. I've kind of like definitely like slimmed down on the country a lot more. I used to be like really big into it, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like Brent Eldredge, the Tim McGraws, the guys like that, where it just like
Yeah.
I've really just it's just one of those things. I try to have a variety of music, so
Yeah. I'm on the same boat. Whatever sounds good, but like I'll never miss out on a country performance because
no,
those guys every country concert that I have been to, I've seen that they give 100% to their performance. Especially like when I get to meet them and stuff like that. They're all great dudes and stuff like that, and the great show, great dudes, and like they're great people to be around. Though to be around, so that's kind of like hopefully when I kind of model a few country artists just to like you get to be with them a little bit backstage and stuff like that and whatever stuff like and whatever. So like whenever my music with our music, me and Ethan Carl comes out, and hopefully it hits. So then when hopefully we get to like travel around or like do fun shows and stuff like that, like I got a few like guys I already model how they do things, and I kind of want to do my way, just like them, but but make it Bobby Stevenson.
Yeah, and hey, that man, that would be that. I can't wait to hear it now. Now I'm getting excited about it. So definitely cannot wait for that. But I know our time's kind of winding down right now. So you answered my last question because I was going to ask you what's next. So you kind of
Yeah.
answered 2 for 1. So I appreciate it. But if you do have a couple of minutes, you mind answering just a few questions that we got here in the chat and
Yeah.
everything. It's like that. I appreciate it. I know we're going a couple of minutes over.
No,
And
it's
so
all right, man.
I appreciate it. And let me get to because I had a couple and I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
we
I didn't know I can look at these too. Let me look at these. Check these out.
yeah, if you could look at the chat. I didn't know if you could look at the chat, but yeah, if you want to look at them, I'll pull up a couple. And if you do see one that maybe you do want to answer and everything, let me know. But I got this one from our guy J Dog in here. He asked, "Who was your favorite opponent to go up against? Maybe amateur and just general."
Well, in amateur, you want to rip everyone's head off, so there's no really favorite opponent. All right, so pro wrestling. I think I answered that, didn't I? Favorite opponent to go up against. So I guess I can answer that again. I always really enjoyed Seth Rollins.
Oh, that would yeah.
I liked his character. I like what he's doing. So he was always someone that I would like to wrestle to, if opportunity ever came to it, or even you know, just because I know him pretty well, we're pretty close friends. Solo Sokoa. I always wanted to wrestle him. So it was funny when we got the video game. Me and my girlfriend, we got the game. We were just messing around on it. We put myself versus Solo on it, just for shits and giggles and whatnot. So with him and I being so close, it would have been cool to share the ring with him and have that cool little moment of being friends on the outside and also being able to work together. I always thought that would have been pretty cool to have that opportunity.
Yeah, and they always say the best of friends always work well together. And man, that would be so cool. You and Seth Rollins, or what about you up against the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns? I think
I'd do that. I'd do that too.
yeah, that would be great. So
Yeah.
no, I know. Yeah, so that would be so cool. So we got another question here from Too Sweet Kyle. He asked, "Who were some of the coaches in the PC that were the biggest help while you were there?"
I'll first say that they're all great help. They're all great coaches. They all know their stuff, and they wouldn't be at the PC if they didn't. So they're all great coaches. I'll give them all that. So a few of my favorites. Yeah. So my favorite, I was always in this class, was Terry Taylor. He was the one that really helped me, break down the walls of because you coming from amateur wrestling, you're always taught to be, straight faced, don't show any emotion, be serious and whatever. So when I got when I was in his class for majority of time that I was in NXT, he'd always just talk about, you gotta open up, don't be afraid to look dumb. I was a heel, so he would always say, you gotta take a good ass kicking, an entertaining ass kicking, So if you watch I used to watch a little bit of the Rock when he would get beat up by Stone Cold, really being over the top, just being all over the place and getting hit and flipping all over the place and being entertaining because you talk about this crap and you finally get beat up. If you're not over the top and you're not selling, it doesn't mean nothing. So the fans wouldn't really care about it. So Terry, he really helped me, just break down those walls, and I built a really great relationship with him. Another great one is Robbie Brookside. I think him and I personally have a good bond with him because he was my first coach. He's the first one to train me in WWE. So with him showing me all that stuff, he has great stories. He's a great wrestler, and I like his style. It's the British style, the real technical and grappling and submissions and all that fun stuff. He always had great stuff for me with that. So I really clicked with him on that. And he was another one that really helped me just to open up the facial expressions and just being over the top. So I think those two are the ones that had the most impact. Granted, they all had great impacts on me, and they all have great input too on producing matches and putting matches together, helping putting matches together. But Terry Taylor and Robbie Brookside are the ones that were my favorite.
I love it, man. And that's, and that coaches are always where it starts. You got good coaches, you're going to be in a good place. So,
yeah.
those are the few questions that I had and everything else like that. So I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for making time, coming here on the channel, talking about all that good stuff, talking about our awful baseball team. And just, if the people don't know now, they hopefully do know about Bobby Stevenson and everything else.
Yeah.
So if you got anything else you want to promote before you go, before what you got going on the upcoming months or anything else, this is your time to shine and all you.
Yeah, so got some country music coming out. A lot more music to follow after that. It's just time. Just gotta wait for it to come out. And wrestling school being opened, was leaving the door open. Obviously all the high school kids in the area, middle school, any sport, whatever we want to do, the room's going to be open for you. I'll post on my social medias when practices will be at locations, time, price, all that fun stuff. We're leaving the door open, especially for the pro wrestlers in the area that want to learn to make their movements a little bit more legit and make a lot of other things look legit, while they could transfer that over into professional wrestling. I mentioned the talent agencies. So hopefully you get to see me on your TV screen without taking bumps or getting thrown through a table or getting hit with a chair. So hopefully you catch me on a commercial or movie role or something. And of course, whenever that time comes, I'll be posting about that too. So hopefully, people want to watch. So yeah. So that's all. That's pretty much all I got. So a lot more things coming, but just gotta wait.
Little by little, but yeah, man, thank you so much again. I know I keep saying it, but I really do appreciate you making time, giving us a couple extra minutes to answer some questions and everything. So cannot wait to see what happens in the future, see where everything goes and everything else like that. It's going to be a really fun time and really exciting. And I can't wait to see you back on our TV screens and listen to that music. You're gonna go out there.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Keep in touch, and I will definitely talk to you. And I'll send you a couple, like the link and everything again. So I appreciate it. Have a good one, man.
I appreciate it, man. You too.
See you. Well, guys, that was Bobby Stevenson. I want to say thank you so much for him coming on the channel and everything else like that. But, guys, that is how we're going to end here today's episode. We will be back here tonight at 6 o'clock for our first ever fantasy football episode, first season and this season of the show. So we'll get you ready to set your lineups and everything else like that. So, guys, thank you all for coming and hanging out for this afternoon interview. And I will see you guys all tonight at 6 o'clock as we preview the first week of the fantasy football season.